Hey YouTube, I'm Chris. This is my show, My Life is an Air Adventure. This is a booktube, book review / book to movie comparison video. I just finished, let's scoot back some. I just finished The Hobbit. The first time I'd read it. I watched all 3 movies, when they came out originally. And just, because the last one just came out last month. And I actually watched it twice in theaters. Watched the second one once in theater and watched the first one twice in theater. So, yeah. The book, pretty dull, in my opinion. It kind of drags. It took me about a week and a half to... I don't remember exactly when I started it, but it took me a lot longer to read it than it should have. I mean, it's only... This copy is 176 pages, and there's a couple picture pages in it. So yeah, it took me a lot longer to read it than it should have. It just kind of dragged in places, and I didn't really care. I put it down, but I knew I needed to finish it before the middle of this week. I'm trying to read a book a week, which would be about 52 books. Last year I kind of had a little bit of trouble keeping up. Sometimes I just didn't have a book that I wanted to read. But yeah. So, as far as a book to movie comparison, my biggest problem, they left out probably the 2 best parts of the book. They left out Bjorn, the shifter, the guy that turns into a bear. Just the interaction between him, Gandalf, and Bilbo, and and the dwarves alone would have been great. Would have been a great comedic scene. Him every time Gandalf says something, and Bjorn's like, well, since when do you call 3 people a party, and since when is that whole let's find it here if I can find it real quick. Yeah, it'll be a while. It'll be hard for me to find it. But anyway, that and... Oh, no, here it goes. Let's see. 1 or 3 you meant, but these aren't. Yeah, let's see. Do you call 2 several? Well, no. As a matter of fact, there were 2. There were more than 2. A troop of ponies. What are you, a traveling circus, or were you carrying a lot of goods, or do you always call 6 a troop? Oh no. As a matter of fact, there are more than 6 ponies. For there are more than 6 of us, and well, here come 2 more. Where was I? A dozen? That's the first time I've heard 8 called a dozen. I mean, it's great comedic writing. It would have been a great scene to see in the movie, but they apparently wanted a more serious tone. I could only assume that's why they didn't use this scene. They wanted a more serious tone for the movie. So they did, they cut that part out. The other thing is Bilbo versus the spiders. It would have been fantastic. Him taunting them with the ring, being hiding in the ring. It would have been fantastic. It would have been a great suspenseful scene in the second movie. The second movie lacked a lot. A lot of people have said they could have saved Smaug completely the whole scene with Smaug completely for the end of the movie or the end of the series. Kept Smaug until the last movie. As it was, the third movie was called The Desolation of Smaug, and he was barely in it. It was all about the Battle of the Five. No, I guess the second movie was called The Desolation of Smaug. The third movie was called Battle of the Five Armies. Smaug was barely in the second movie. It was all about the Battle of the Five Armies. So, I don't know. Either way, they've got to screw up. If they call the third movie The Desolation of Smaug, which I thought was a horrible title. It's right up there with Electric Boogaloo. That's my long-running... Anytime a movie is called something 2, it should... And if they can't come up with a title, then, Bad Grandpa 2, it should immediately have to be... It should automatically be followed by Electric Boogaloo, because it's just ridiculous. You can, especially movies with The Amazing Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Seriously, there's Spectacular Spider-Man, Sensational Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man, whatever, Superior Spider-Man. There's plenty of other titles that they could have used. Instead, they just went with Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's ridiculous. But anyway, I'm getting off track. So they left out Bjorn, they left out the spiders. They sort of left out the dwarves being held captive by the elves. I do remember the barrel escape scene, but it wasn't the same as in the book. And they, of course, had Legolas's help in the movie. They did not in the book because he's not there. Neither is Turiel, or whatever her name was, who is a creation by Peter Jackson, apparently, for the movie. So yeah, the movie was good, the book was okay, the movies were good, the book was okay. They each had their faults, but I would have loved to have seen Bjorn. I would have loved to have seen the spiders. The one thing I noticed about the book is the ending is kind of the same. Bilbo wasn't there when Thorin was fighting Azog. Of course, he wasn't fighting Azog in the book. He was fighting Azog's cousin or something. I don't know, son, nephew, whatever. He was Bilbo was knocked unconscious during that time, but he was there when Thorin died. He did actually talk to him, and they parted as friends before he died. So that was similar, but not quite. It took him quite a while for him to get home, which they didn't really show in the book. He made several stops along the way. He's traveled with Bjorn again. And then the auction, everyone assuming he was dead, that happens in the book. But then there's a last appearance by Balin, and I don't remember if that was in the movie. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, so I probably won't ever read The Hobbit again. Just because, like I said, it took me way too long to read for a 176-page book. And it just wasn't that interesting. Some parts flew, and some parts I was just like, I don't care. Really. At least the dragon sickness, the gold dragon sickness plot was underplayed in this, in the movie it drug out. And I didn't really care for it. But yeah, that's my book to movie comparison. I will read... Where's that? I will read Lord of the Rings eventually. I'm going to not going to read it right now. I'm going to read Jodi Picoult's newest one, Leaving Time, from Ballantine Books. Wow, she's got several different publishers. Or no, that one's from Atria, but she moved on to Ballantine. Weird. So yeah, that's my next one that I'll be reading. So yeah, this is my review of The Hobbit. Let me know what you think. Did you enjoy it as much? Did you enjoy it more than I did? Have you read it multiple times? Let me know. So, up on the shelf it goes. Have a good day, guys.